What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the Ninja Waver here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm doing a 540 waves brush session for you guys, but this time I'm going to be showing you guys how I use the hard, medium, and soft brush in that order. Let's hop right into it.
I've been going crazy, plug in, can't play me, Jesus done save me, can't switch, won't sway me.
Alright, so this is what my waves are looking like, you guys. I am on week 11, so it's been a long time since I scalped, and I'm gonna cut my hair next week, which will ultimately end up being a 12-week or 3-month wolf, my longest wolf ever. We're gonna start off with the hard brush first. Alright, now a hard brush is really good for pulling your hair strands and digging deep to the lower levels of your hair, almost to the root of your scalp. Now, you guys may not be able to tell from the video, but when you use a hard brush, it will lift your hair up almost the equivalent to combing with the grain, and that's just so it can pull the hair strands in a certain direction and in a way do a soft reset. You guys may also notice me standing farther from the camera or coming closer to the camera through multiple points of this video. That's just for focusing reasons. All right. Alright, now pay attention to how the brush sounds when it's hitting my waves, right? It sounds more like a rake raking up leaves. That's another indicator that you're using a hard brush. Also, if you guys happen to hear me exhale or a sigh, forgive me. That's just because I'm having to bend down a little bit, and this does put a little bit of strain on my lower back just to get this video recorded, so I apologize for that. Alright, so the next brush we're going to use is going to be the medium brush. Now, the medium brush is also used to pull the hair strands. However, unlike the hard brush, it doesn't get as deep into your waves or into your scalp. It kind of deals with the layer in between the top and the lower layers of your hair. Now, a medium brush is also pretty good because it's typically seen as the all-around brush. So if you just got a fresh cut or if you're wolfing, a medium brush is a nice in-between brush to use, especially if you don't really have a lot of time to use a hard, medium, and soft brush. The medium brush is good at getting the job done. And as you guys can tell, that my waves are starting to become a little bit more laid when I use the medium brush than when I first used the hard brush. So like I said, the medium brush tackles the next layer up, which ultimately helps your waves look more and more laid as time goes on. And the final brush we're going to use is the soft brush. This is going to be your best friend in terms of laying down that top layer of hair, and this is the last brush that you want to use for your brush session. Now, most people use a soft brush in general, especially when they first get a fresh cut, but as your hair begins to grow, it's important to start incorporating the other brushes in addition to this soft brush. Now, of course, you can't really hear the raking sound because, again, it's a soft bristled brush. It's only meant for the top layer of your hair. So this is for whenever you want your waves to pop out and stand out when you unrag.
does it for this 540 wave brush session using the hard, medium, and soft brushes. Now, before you guys go, I want to give you guys a couple of final reminders to take home with you. Number one, you want to make sure that you use all three of these brushes in the specific order, starting with the hard brush, then the medium, then the soft brush. You don't want to start using a soft brush, then a hard, then a medium, or a medium, then a hard, then a soft. That's just going to confuse your hair and cause your hair to continue to be lifted up off of your scalp, when our ultimate goal is to keep our waves laid. So you want to start off with the hardest bristle brush first, that being the hard brush, so that way it can pull the hair strands that's closest to the root in your scalp. Then you want to use the medium brush to tackle the layer in between, and then finally you want to use the soft brush to tackle the top layer of your waves. And this is going to be the layer that everybody sees when you unrag, so you want to make sure that it looks nice and well kept. Using all three of these brushes in the right order is going to help you create depth into your wave pattern. The second piece I want to leave you guys with is, some of you may be wondering, when exactly should you start incorporating the other textured brushes? In other words, how will you know when it's time to stop just relying on the soft brush and it's time to start incorporating the medium brush or the hard brush? Here's my answer. When your hair starts to become too long and too hard to manage with the current brush that you're using. For example, some of you may be used to getting your hair cut to a 1.5, and after you get that cut, you may be able to use a soft brush for a couple of weeks. However, once you start wolfing and your hair starts to grow, you'll notice that the soft brush is no longer getting the job done. It's not able to penetrate and get down to the scalp of your hair pattern. That is how you'll know it's time to start using a medium brush in addition to the soft brush. And this same concept applies when you're talking about a medium brush and incorporating a hard brush. So that's how you'll know when it's time to move on. You can also use this logic in the reverse to indicate when you're not ready to move on to the next brush level. For example, if you're using a hard brush to brush your waves and you notice that it hurts extremely bad, then odds are that means you don't have enough hair on your head to be using that textured brush, so you should just stick with the brush at your current hair level. And the final tidbit I'll leave you guys with is this. Some of you may also be wondering, how frequently should you do a full hard, medium, and soft brush session? Should you do this every time you brush? Should you only do it on the weekends, after wash and style? When should you do it? And here's my answer. It depends on how much time you have. For example, if you have an hour to spare, then you'll have enough time to use a hard, medium, and soft brush to reset your waves and to lay your waves down. However, if you're short on time, then you may want to consider just using a soft brush. Another method you guys could use to determine when you should use a hard, medium, or soft brush is based off of what your waves are looking like. Take me for example. If I've been on rag for a couple of hours and my hair strands start to lift up and my hair starts to get a little bit unorganized, then if I have time, I'll start using a hard brush, then a medium, then a soft brush. On the other hand, if I've just unragged and my waves are already perfectly laid and there's a lot of depth to them, then I can just use a soft brush, because there's no sense in adding on more time to my brush session when my waves are already laid and they already look pretty decent. So you can also use what your waves are looking like to gauge how much of a reset that it needs. Now obviously, by far the best reset to do is combing your hair all the way out and then laying it all the way back down, then using those following brushes. And if you want to see what that looks like, I want you guys to check out this video right here. That does it. Stay safe. Salute to my wave troops. I'm out.